Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up the podcast. All about video games, beer, tech problems, life problems, all sorts of stuff going on. It's episode 424. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Hi.
Hey. And Aadil.
Hey!
Hey! Let's kick straight in. Make sure that the tech problems don't continue or reoccur. Who wants to open a beer up first? Who's got one ready to go? Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Lucy definitely has
That's
earned it.
why it's hard driving, which probably busted. Well, I think it's definitely the hard drive. Yes, all the other tests were fine.
Fair.
Hard drive, but not so much. Yeah, I've got a beer from Barney's. It's called Post Mortum. It's a hazelnut affogato imperial pastry stout.
Ooh.
I think I got this when I was driving up to Buxton, so I was just like, "Oh, I want to have this on the podcast." Oh yeah, wasn't here 2 weeks ago because the internet wasn't working, so tech problems just abound in this house. It's 8.4%. Oh, and it's a collaboration with MF Coffee Project. So I think this is around the time that Siren do their Caribbean chocolate cake ones and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's stout weather. So very much
It's definitely got to that point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a bit of flavor text. It says, as rich and luxurious as it gets, this small batch release is packed full of hazelnut and roasted coffee beans. Post-mortem range allows us to dissect and examine unique styles of beer and experiment with unusual processes or ingredients.
Nice.
Made in collaboration with MF Coffee Project. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, been looking forward to this.
Good. Aadil, what are you drinking this evening?
I've got Twice Brewed Toxic Juice. It's a 6.1% green slime sour. Which is just making Lucy's day all the better.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to grab it, and then I realized the other beers in my fridge were a 9.5 and two 11.5s, and I'm already tired.
Fair.
So, green and slimy modern sour beer with flavors of mango, passion fruit, orange, and raspberry. Sweet, sour, and tangy. Plus, it glows under UV light, which I think I have.
Oh.
I think I have.
Okay.
And if not, sorry, folks.
I've got a little UV torch somewhere that I got from a Dying Light 2 press kit that they sent out. Yeah.
I remember that.
Nice.
Look, Lucy.
Potential.
Look pour.
Wow.
Oh, it's a little yellow, more yellow in person.
Okay.
But it's toxic.
Limey. Looks very limey.
Yeah.
It looks like the ooze.
Maybe it isn't
does.
so UV light.
Good. Investigate. I'm going to drink Tree Octopus from Weekend Project.
Oh, nice.
It's a double dry hopped double IPA at 8%. A little bit of flavour text. We got heavy-handed with oats and our favourite pillowy yeast to create a strong base to support the volume of Citra that we threw at this beer, with Simcoe adding the top notes. And that is everything. See, Weekend Project, nice 500ml can, so a big beer and a big beer for me for this evening. For potentially a slightly shorter episode, so it will go back probably very quickly, I would imagine. And we'll roll all the way back round to you, Lucy, if you're ready to sup. Looks nice.
Yeah, it poured with quite a decent sized head. That's dissipated. Very almost honeycomby, yes. Yeah, you can smell the coffee. Nice chocolate from the dark malts. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Because I hadn't had a stout in quite some time. But yeah, just those lovely roasted, nutty, malty aromas.
Good. I had a stout the other night. I can't remember what one it was. It was a new one from Left Handed Giant.
Okay.
Fear. I think it's called Fear or something like that.
Right.
That was quite nice, but a bit too much coconut for me. Well, it was full of desiccated coconut. It was just a little bit too much, a little bit too rich for me for that evening. But this was hazelnut, you said, wasn't it?
Yes, and you can definitely taste the hazelnut. It tastes really good, and it's got the body to it. And now that I've just let it sit for a bit, getting that nice warmth from the alcohol as well. But yeah, it's got a decent amount of body. That gives you that not cloying, but you know, satisfactorily like mouth coating kind of texture to it. Yeah, a bit on the sweet side. I think I'd prefer if it was a bit more bitter.
Okay.
I mean, it's called an imperial pastry stout, so you know, probably gonna be on the sweeter side when you see something like pastry stout, but it's not too overwhelming. It's more than I want, but it's not to the point where it's like, ugh, this is too sweet, too cloying, a bit too overwhelming.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got a nice balance of, chocolate. As I say, the hazelnut is coming through quite a lot as well. It's really good. Yeah, the only negative for me is that it's a bit too sweet.
Okay.
But other than that, it's a very well made stout. And I had it like just sitting out for just the right amount of time, so it's just like, just that perfect stout temperature, like a little bit warmer. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's what you want on like a autumn night. Yeah, happy with
Perfect.
this.
Good. Aadil, we'll come to the toxic juice.
Yes. Sorry, I remembered I had a UV laser pointer.
Ah.
And I went into my camera closet drawers, and now I've just made a mess. I basically made a mess and found a red laser pointer. That's what happened. I missed half of what Lucy was saying.
It's fine. It's
Anyway.
a good stout. Yeah. Too sweet.
Yes, let's try this thing. It definitely smells mango, passion fruit, sour. Getting a touch of malt on the nose, which is nice. Because my biggest worry for this beer would be that it does not taste like beer.
Yeah.
Like like they're doing a thing. It's multiple fruity things, and a real weird color, which I know that you're not supposed to judge a beer by its color, but sometimes.
I saw a beer called Slurm from Futurama.
Nice.
And I think it was that color as well. So
I would imagine.
yeah.
It's actually less bubbly than I thought.
It's carbonated or
Yeah. It's carbonated. There's just enough to give a bit of a tingle, but it's quite flat, and I think that does it. It's doing it. It's good because it is quite fruit forward. You get that passion fruit especially, and then the mango. And then a bit of like slightly sweet tart, like a tart orange. So not like not just a sour citrus, but from the orange family, a tartar version. So like that mix of sweet and sour. And oh yeah, and then it finishes with a berry, but raspberry I think is what they said on the tin. But crucially, in there is malt.
Oh.
So just a hint of a bit of a malty, like, oh, don't worry, this is still a beer.
Okay.
Just a little bit. It's mostly fruit, and to the point where I think that like slightly hoppy, slightly malt, like that beery taste. If you didn't like beer, you'd still like it, but there's just enough where if you were wanting a beer, you would feel like that this is more beer-like than other of these sours can be. Yeah. Indy, like, I still think Lucy would like it. I think a couple of weeks ago, I had another very silly looking beer, and I was like, "You won't like this." This is much closer, but I think part of it is actually not even the slight more beery taste. It's actually the that blend of the sour, the sort of passion fruit into that like more citrusy sour, just tastes a lot more like slightly fruitier beers, while a lot of these other ones are just like wild and crazy fruit flavors and they're sour. This is like, okay, so like the sour backbone is actually, despite it being green slime sour, glows in the dark, it's actually quite a traditional sour taste at its core. Again, super fruity, not a lot of beer taste. So I don't think you would want it as a beer, but you might enjoy it.
Sure.
That's my
something like a shared experience with someone splitting the can or something like that, just as a bit of a
or like you know, now that we're in basically winter, you know, a hot summer day and someone, you know, gives you a can of that, you're not going to be like, oh, fine. You're like, okay, I'm having this drink and it's very tasty. It's, you know, it's sating and cool, great.
Good.
And then the cops come by to investigate the crime scene, and then they get blinded by your drink, I guess. I don't know how.
Good. A beer for all year round, double IPA. It seems to be, at least. I very much like the can art, the Tree Octopus.
Oh yeah, I had that on tap on the weekend, so I'm super curious.
Nice, good. It's a little lighter than I sort of expected. It's closer to sort of a pale. It's got a bit of a sort of a straw colour, but like a solid block of that colour. You get a little bit of light bleed, you can see kind of at the bottom, but not really much at all. Biggish nose. There's a nice amount of fruit in there, but there's something that is just souring it very slightly. It's not like a sweet sort of fruit. It's not a sort of a big strong stone fruit sort of flavour. Something in there that's just a little bit. I was going to use the word off. It's not quite off, but it's something that's pulling slightly differently to the rest of it. It's lovely and smooth. And that flavour that's in the nose doesn't quite come through in the flavour. It's very soft, but it's got this kind of very, very light, fruity flavour to it. Maybe it is a bit sort of mango-y, just a touch. Maybe a little bit of orange in there as well. So like around that sort of slightly lighter citrus, tropical kind of stone fruit. But what I feel like I'm getting in the nose, in the flavour, is coming more towards the back end. And it's not a sourness necessarily. It's just I think there's this kind of piney note going on in here as well. That is a little bit danker than, say, pine. So it's a little weedier. And I think the slight bit of sweetness from the fruit at the start is combining with that kind of slightly danker sort of finish to almost give me a... Well, it's very green. That light appearing at the bottom of the screen there. It's giving me a very odd, like middle hit. And like it feels like it's just going to be soft, lovely, light, soft. And then suddenly there's that bit of a change. And you go, okay, yes, all right, it's getting a bit dank. It's getting a little bit chewy, maybe as well, actually. And then there's just this, and it might be the alcohol, might be the 8%, is just, there's something in there. There's a bit of a vapour, a bit of something that's being combined with that mix of flavours, which is just a bit pulling me away from this being a beautifully smooth beer. Something that's just a bit touch jarring in there as well. Just a bit of a strong sort of sway away from that, because for the first 10 seconds, this is a fucking beautiful beer. It's lovely, lovely, super soft, super smooth. But then it just takes that little twist towards the end. I wonder if it's the same.
Oh my god.
Wow.
The secret of the ooze.
Sorry. So yeah, see, purple light.
Nice,
Green bear.
nice. Next week, when he appears as Donatello, we know what's happened.
Sorry, I did...
Oh,
Sorry,
Good.
my ADHD brain was not letting me. Not
Yeah,
find
sure.
something that I
look what your beer has done to me.
Yeah. Oh wait. Oh, this is definitely going to be one of those episodes that. Oh my God! It's Michelangelo. That's amazing.
Perfect. Is that your? Have you been out trick or treating, Lucy?
No, it was my nephew's birthday a few weeks ago, and he's into the turtles now, which
Nice.
makes me very
Is there-
proud. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a show right now? I've lost
I
track.
think so.
It
Yeah.
must be, yeah.
I don't know which one it is,
Yeah.
which iteration of the turtles there is, but
Didn't they make one where they're all like tiny, thin-legged but super hench turtles as well at some point?
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I think they look a bit more chibi, the one that is
Oh.
around now, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
Are they
Interesting.
ninjas or are they
I'm not recording.
heroes?
I can actually use my browser.
Yeah, are they ninjas or heroes these days? Still ninjas?
Ninjas.
When did they stop being ninjas?
In the UK, when they came out in the 90s, they were Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I
We were
had
afraid
heard
of
that, but I
anything foreign.
That's not what it was. Like, oh, not those Japanese ninjas. Get those
Yeah.
out of here. Oh, they'll be heroes. Make them heroes instead.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Oh.
Let's just call Michelangelo Saint George instead. Yeah.
It's all British impressionist painters instead or something. It's like, oh, it's his Rembrandt or it's fucking Constable. Here we go. We'll bring Constable in. There we go. Nice, good. They're the beers. They're the beers. I mean, we could talk more about turtles if you want, but we should probably talk about some games.
No. Wait.
What do you go on? Talk about turtles if you've
No, it's fine.
googled in your first. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay. I will mention I'm still plugging through Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which I spoke about in the last episode a little bit because I'd started it.
Right.
I don't know whether I like it or not.
This is what happened with the first game as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I think the first
Same
game.
wide-eyed optimism at the first time he played it too.
I think the first game turned me around enough, right? I think the first game was good enough and it was short enough that it turned me around. I think the second game is more of the same, and I probably have similar concerns or similar issues that I had with the first game. It is just the movement and the sword play and stuff, which they've tried to double down on because you get lots of different kinds of stances, and I'm enjoying being a dual-wielding Jedi. And the sort of the speed and slightly less power that kind of gives you over, a single lightsaber or a double-bladed lightsaber, which is the second stance that you get. There's two that I haven't unlocked yet, two more stances, so it'll be interesting to see what those are. But it's not necessarily the lightsaber play. It's more how awkward the camera is, how awkward the lock-on system is, how quickly they throw enemies at you, and how it's not very easy to switch between enemies to be able to do things. So, you want to block, you want to parry. It's got a very good parry system that you parry, and that will take down a bar on them and make them more susceptible to being hit. Almost like they've got a force shield on them. You can force push them, and that will take that down, or actually just fucking throw them off a cliff and stuff. So the elements are there. They're just not combining for me very well at the moment within the combat. And the game is, 50% combat, 50% kind of exploration, platforming, traversal kind of thing. And I've got other issues with it as well, in the way that they've opened up the maps that little bit more, and how it's much more of a not necessarily an open world game, but you go to a planet and there is just a fucking giant expanse to explore with hundreds of different collectibles, data, exposition elements, actual upgrades, things like that, and stuff where I've gone on the first the first planet you go to after Coruscant, and I'm just like, this is massively overwhelming. So much here. And actually, I know that I'm nowhere near good enough to like go and fight the Rancor that's down in the fucking mines, because every time I try, it just fucking eats me. And it's like, nah, mate. I went through that whole fucking first game, and I was this like at the end of it, I was this powerful Jedi. You know, okay, not necessarily really powerful, but you know, he'd grown in that game. You felt powerful towards the end of it, not necessarily as much as you did in something like The Force Unleashed, which was ultimately like just a power fantasy kind of game for a Jedi, because I never remember the name of the character from Force Unleashed, but the same guy who plays Deacon from Days Gone, who plays that character in The Force Unleashed, you know, he was Vader's apprentice. He was fucking powerful. You pull down a Star Destroyer in that game, and Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, it's not that. Like, I felt like I'm starting at the beginning again with Survivor, rather than being like, cool, I'm decent. And actually, there's a period of time that's happened between those two games as well, where Cal, the character, has been going and doing little insurgency jobs for Saw Gerrera and stuff. So it's steeped in like modern lore as well, which I love. It's great. I'm getting all of these like big dumps of stuff, and I you know, I love Star Wars, and I love the worlds, and I enjoy that bit of it, and I know that I will just push through just to get that, you know, experience the story and those kinds of things. So,
you see, I'm the opposite, where I like Star Wars fine, and I kind of been waiting for a game where it's like, yeah, I want to engage with Star Wars again, because I haven't for probably 30 years. So it's like I like the original trilogy, and then I just stopped there.
Yep.
Which I think, in retrospect, was the right idea.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd look, you know, because I've been like curious about like this Survivor and the one that came before it. Just like, or even that. Is it a Ubisoft game? That one that's
yeah,
like
Outlaws. Yeah, that came out this year.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just like, I don't think it's like I need a very good Star Wars game to be like, oh, I want to get back into this, like, not back into it, but like just experience this universe again. And like, but I need a really good Star Wars game. I'm just not like, oh, I love Star Wars so much, I'll push through it. I'm just like, no,
Sure.
I need something good. And I just think the days of the good sequel where you build upon the mistakes of the previous game and refine things and hone things, I think that's just dead now. I think things are just so risk free that even, you know, improving a game in a certain way may cost too much money or too much risk or too much, you know, it's possible that it's like, oh, it goes the other way and it actually detracts from the game. I think we're just in the place where it's like, just do the same thing because it worked once, it's going to work again. I don't think the days of, I remember Assassin's Creed 2 or, you know, any other sequel that you can remember from those times, I don't think that exists anymore. I don't think the good sequel exists anymore. I think it's more of the same, more crap in it, less editing, and it's just it saddens me because it's like, just make a game a little bit better, but you just don't see that in the AAA space. They're just like, it worked this time, let's just do it again. You know,
yeah,
refining things will cost money and development.
Yeah, I think something like Halo Infinite is the sort of the prime example of that ultimately, where they kind of went, let's throw in a grappling hook. Cool. Let's have this nonsensical kind of story which sort of apes the first game, but sort of doesn't. And it's not really a soft reboot, but it's kind of a soft reboot. But also, like, we're building it to do this, and then they're just like, no, new game, reboot again. Wasn't as good. Wasn't great. And, you know, people had issues with the movement. And Halo, in and of itself, was lauded when the first game came out for not necessarily the simplicity of the combat, but just how good that movement and how good that gunplay kind of felt, and Halo 2 improved on that. Absolutely, you know, that was a sequel which definitely improved on the first game. Same with, as you said, Lucy, Assassin's Creed 2 improved on the first game really, really well. Yet these iterations that we're kind of getting over, say, the last maybe 2, 3, 5 years even, they just seem to tread the same kind of ground without refining what kind of came before them, rather than just going, here's 100% more content than the previous game had. So there's definitely a bit of I mean, there's a big issue in the industry, as is kind of anyway. But yeah, that sort of that sequel element to it is definitely a bit of an issue.
Yeah, it's just the reason that I haven't picked up most games that have had sequels in this last generation. It's just like more of the same. You didn't fix any of my issues with the previous game, so why bother? Yeah. Shame.
I think it's not the difficult path to tread necessarily, but it's one of those that when companies are looking at their games or looking at how they're going to present them and being like, cool, this is now, you know, a live service game, so we will add to it and you can pay for seasons and you can do all of these sorts of things, that actually a sequel may never happen. You know, we'll patch, we'll refine, we'll recode, we'll update, you know, the engine and those kinds of things, that actually in 3 years' time, as something like No Man's Sky is, a completely different game, right? Which is, again, then critically acclaimed at that later point after patch number 5 or version number 5 of the game is kind of out. And then, as Hello Games are doing, going in not a different direction, but they're not releasing No Man's Sky 2. They're doing a different game, which you would hope will then build upon those kinds of things. And if they don't necessarily, you give it a bit more benefit of the doubt because it's a different game. It's not No Man's Sky
definitely.
2. They go, oh, they're doing something slightly different here, even though in essence, engine-wise, it might just be No Man's Sky 2.
We made the infinite world more infinite.
Yes.
It's bigger now. It's like, hold on.
Yeah. But yes, I will plug away at Jedi Survivor. I like some of the characters in it. Some of the writing is...
Oh, some of them. That's good.
Some of them, yes. The writing is very mixed.
You know, this is where I think we differ with games. You and this is not a slam on you because you have found gems that like have grown or changed or realized that like you're being entertained enough. But sure. This sounds to me. This is why I drop off of so many. I don't finish games. Like I wouldn't go further than 3 missions on the game you described, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he loves that Star Wars.
Yeah, I love the Star Wars too. I should just play Dark Forces 2. I bet that's aged.
We didn't. I don't think any of us played the re-release of Battlefront, like the original Battlefront, did we?
No.
I know that came out plagued
I heard
with
enough
issues.
bad things. So Battlefront 2, original OG Battlefront 2, fucking video games. Stop calling the thing again, especially when it's a sequel already. Oh my god. Battlefront 2, it remains one of my favorite multiplayer games. I have so many fond memories, but like just the setting, the literally 64 actual people playing on a map, and having maps where you could like, especially the one where it was I mean, it's really dumb because it's in space, but there's 2 capital ships that are basically like this beside each other, and you can fly out and you can fly into the other capital ship and attack people, or you can just dogfight. And there's, 32 people aside or whatever. Or did it go up to 64 aside? It was something insane, right?
Yeah, it was a lot back then.
And it felt good, and it was Star Wars, and you had, enough, like, feeling like you're Star Wars, but some role-playing, like it was a well-made shooter as well. I have no urge to see what the modern vomiting rehash would be, right? Like, I don't... One, I have lamented for years that, like, well, there's no one runs servers on it, so you can't play it anymore. But secretly, I'm glad, because obviously some of this is like nostalgia goggles, but also even if it was as great then as I think it was, all the quality of life improvements since then and like just the improvements in games mean it. Even if it was exactly how I remember it, it's still gonna be crap today.
Sure.
I don't know, because I was very tempted just to stick in the Black Ops 1 disc again
Oh yeah,
into my Xbox because I
that
tried
Black Ops 1 or 1-2.
1 OG
Yeah.
because I tried Black Ops 6.
Ooh.
I'm not even going to bother rehash the conversation about where this is in the timeline and which one is this and what came before it or whatever. I just know that the one that came out, I didn't even know it was out
Yeah,
until
till this one was
someone
announced, basically, right?
until someone told me that Nuketown was coming out this
Yeah.
week. I was like, oh, that Call of Duty game's out already. Okay, cool. So I downloaded it, 89 gigs, and the thing that I dislike is that it just assumed that I didn't want Modern Warfare 3, which I got addicted to last year. So it uninstalled that, and I found out that I don't want to play Black Ops 6. I'll tell you why in a bit. So I was like, let me just load up Modern Warfare 3. I'll play Nuketown whenever it comes out this week. Why not? Yeah, but I'll just go back to Modern Warfare 3. Not installed anymore because it uninstalled that because it just assumed I want to play the new shiny game.
Now, is the weird everything, all Call of Duties are secretly bundled in the same game program, or is this the Xbox thing?
No, it's all. I think it's the same for maybe PC as well, where everything is just. It's like a
Call of
launcher.
Duty.exe,
basically. You're running a Call of Duty client, and then everything is run from inside that, right?
Yeah, and you choose what you want to download. You can download Warfare, you can download this campaign from this game, or this campaign from that game. I think it's actually more refined than it used to be. I think I don't really have any problem with that. The fact that it just assumed that I wanted the new game and delete the old game, that annoyed me. Yeah, it's like, what happens if I'm living somewhere, I don't know, does anyone still have limits on data and
I mean, Canada still has slow ass internet compared to like we're all going to fiber, and Canada's still large chunks of Canada, even the cities are like their broadband is slower than what we're like our copper we're giving up.
Yeah, and it's like I clicked on the button, on the Call of Duty button that's on my home screen.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, you need to just install an update. I'm like, okay. I assume it's just gonna put in Black Ops 6 now.
Yeah.
But it deleted the Modern Warfare 3 without even asking me, do you want to delete this? Choose what you want to install. That was annoying.
Did you just for a bit of clarity on that? Did you have enough space on the machine to have installed Black Ops without having to uninstall Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah, because when I found out that it uninstalled, I was just like, okay, I installed it back, and usually if you don't have enough space, it'll say you need to clean up some space.
Yeah.
Whereas no, I had enough space.
So it's not even making like a rational technical decision for you of being like, you want to play the new one. Okay, there's not enough space here. Let's get rid of the old one because you're probably not going to go back to that now you've gone to the new one. It's actually just being like, here's a new one. In your face. Have that. Take it.
Yeah.
Don't go back to the old one. Just play this one, please.
Yeah. It's like, what if I want to buy my Battle Pass in Modern Warfare 3? Let me. You know? Why do I need the new shiny thing? But anyway, this new shiny thing.
Yes, let's talk
about
Black
I have no
Ops
idea
6.
what's going on.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. I played like half an hour worth of it. And what's good is that it kept my settings from the previous game, where I turned off all the motion blur and all the nonsense and all the basically look like you're playing with Vaseline on the screen. Turned all that off. But There's this thing in this new game. Apologies for anyone who knows about Call of Duty. I don't know. I think it's called omnidirectional something. I don't know, but it's basically where it's got like ragdoll physics
Okay.
in it. I think something like that. And there's this head bob in it, and you can't turn that off.
What?
So my motion sickness, I only played for half an hour. And I think because it's like it was stuttering a bit, so it wasn't quite 60 FPS that Call of Duty usually is, and we're usually very good at that. But I think if I played for a little bit longer, and Call of Duty's never made me motion sick. That's the one good thing about those games. 60 FPS, like, you know, they have a lot of accessibility settings in certainly the last game. But there is no option to turn that off. Because you're meant to be like some ragdoll with like with omnidirectional movement or something. I think there's like
really, you're
I
just
don't know,
running around like this instead of like
yes, like the Team America.
yeah.
That's what it is. And it's like when you're running, there's like this weird head bob, and it's like there's a preset where you can minimize that, but it's not enough. And it's like, what have you done to this game? What have you done to my poor sweet child?
Yeah.
That is Call of Duty that never had this issue, and now it's. I don't think I'll be able to play this game unless they get rid of that, because there's no setting to get rid of that.
Like you've turned everything down, but your opponent just sees a JPEG of you moving through the screen, but you're on your camera, it's still fucking just all over the place. Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, what is this? There was a tutorial saying, "Do you want to find out what omnidirection is?" And I was like, "Yeah,
No.
sure." But then because it was like, "Do you want to go through a tutorial?" Because I was like, "I don't know what this is," and and then I got distracted, and I think I went away from the game. And then when I went back in, the tutorial was no longer there, and it's like, I am not digging around in these menus because I'll end up buying something accidentally. So that's gone forever now. So I'll never know what it actually is. But all I know is that there's like this weird head bob thing that you can't turn off.
Like I could see something like Call of Duty going down the not realism route necessarily, because I would imagine it's very hard to do in terms of, you get shot, right, and in Call of Duty I know that from the previous Warzone games that I played. I haven't played Call of Duty for a little while, but you can be a bit of a bullet sponge if you've got X amount of armor in and the pad and all that sort of stuff, right? But if you're running around in real life and you're covered in armor and Kevlar and all of this sort of shit, and you get shot, you still feel that impact, and that will have an effect on your movement and how you feel and how you hold your weapon and all of that sort of stuff. And I wonder if they're trying to be like, cool, this is like a new ragdoll system that actually, getting shot impacts the character's movement, because that is what happens in the real world. But it just doesn't actually do that. It is just here is a new physics element that we've introduced.
Yes, that's what it is.
And
it's still a bullet sponge. Yeah. Just that would be smart then. That would be a more interesting take on what it is. But it's like, no, it's just that new physics system, because you see it on like the kill cam, like your body just like ragdoll.
Is it like Skate where you just like blah?
Yes, it is. So genuine. It's like playing QWOP in 3D, and I just it's like, what is this?
I think you opened the wrong game. QWOP of Duty.
So it's just like, I'm not gonna be able to play this. I was meant to like try playing Nuketown,
right,
on lots with some mates or something. I will try it. There's enough in, hopefully, to get me through, the motion sickness. Maybe not for the long periods of time that I've played Modern Warfare 3 for hours on end, but maybe I can get through an hour of it without crumpling. As you know, you got the reticle, you can change the field of view, and there's enough settings, so hopefully, but
it's a shame considering how
I don't
much
know.
how much you did put into Modern Warfare 3 that the sort of the new shiny version of it doesn't feel anywhere near as good.
No, I don't. Beside my personal issues, I don't know what this game is anyway. I don't know what timeline it is. I don't know. I don't know if it's future. I don't know if it's past. It just looks. There's something. There's always something a bit dumb about Call of Duty, but this seems but dumb in an endearing way, where it's like I could play as Snoop Dogg if I wanted to in Modern Warfare 3. This just seems dumb in a you lot are taking this a bit too seriously, aren't you? Way where it's like the loading screen is like you and your character, like, you know, and the rest of your squad just like with your guns up ready for action and stuff like that. And it's like these are the most it was, you know, generic white dude, you know, starter character, and it was like Jesus Christ.
Hoorah!
This is yeah, and it was like hoorah, and it's like, oh, he has these quips about having one eye or something like that, and he was like, well, if I've got one eye and I can see that, why can't you? I was just like, just let me play the game. Yeah.
Did you the amount of time that you've played with it, is that in a single player campaign or did you just jump into multiplayer?
No, I just jumped into multiplayer. I've actually just played 2 games, and it's just like, oh, the starting gun feels alright. Maybe I'll just stick with this because there's no way I'm gonna, you know, figure out another. If the interface is like as complicated as Modern Warfare 3, I'm just like, I don't care. Just give me the starter gun. Just give me a frag grenade and I'm cool. I'll still be top of the leaderboard, killing all these stupid children, even as I'm like half like collapsed on.
Yeah, you're running around sort of like that.
Sickness, yeah.
Like over here, just pointing at
yeah. But yeah, that's Call of Duty. I'll probably be addicted to it by this time next week.
You'll come on like, I played nothing else. I managed to work out where the setting was. I've turned all that shit off. Like it's here. It's ready to go.
Yeah. Another year, another Call of Duty. Things will never be different, and they'll always stay the same.
Yeah, it is interesting now.
Death and taxes and Call of Duty.
Yeah. I was going to say, now that they're owned by Microsoft and it is a day one Game Pass game.
Yeah.
So you know, okay, you've got your Game Pass subscription, which you would have had anyway to play all of the other games that you want to, but now a yearly release that was something that you would purchase. I know last year's a bit different because I think we got a code, didn't we, for Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's just like, here it is, have it. That's 60 quid per player that we're not, you know, directly taking in as a point of sale element now, but we're just recouping that cost over the subscription service and going, cool, that 60 £60 that we would have got from that sale, we're now taking, you know, £4.50 of that or £5 of that every month. So over a year, we've recouped that £60. But that obviously means that people have to stay around for that long rather than being like, cool, I'll subscribe for 1 month, play Call of Duty, and then I won't.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Because I think that this has been like, I can't remember what the number was, but they've definitely had a bump in Game Pass subscribers.
I did read that, yeah.
And at the same time, it's the best-selling Call of Duty of all time, which is no surprise either, because I think, I mean, the quality of the games isn't getting better, but just the more people playing them.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to be even more accessible now with Game Pass. And I don't know, I think it's probably just a work. Well, how much did they pay for Activision? Like 60 billion or something like that.
Yeah, I
I
think
think it
something
will.
like that.
I think those books will be balanced soon enough. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think us who don't really buy like in-game stuff or even really DLC a lot of the time, certainly not battle passes. I don't think that can be understated how many people buy that stuff. Just like regular Joe, he only plays Call of Duty and he only plays FIFA. And some people they're like, oh yeah, this is my pay packet. I just treat myself. Say how we would buy a beer. I'm not shading anyone for it. It's like you earn that money, go enjoy it how you want to. But the same way that we'd buy a beer, they'd buy 7 Call of Duty skins, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay. So, I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's interesting, and I wonder whether within Call of Duty itself that the different titles have different levels of cachet with people. Because just having a quick look online, there's an IGN article only posted yesterday. And you take this with a slight pinch of salt, but it opens saying Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was the biggest Call of Duty release ever, setting new day one and opening weekend records. As sales on PlayStation and Steam jumped 60% compared to Modern Warfare 3. So whether Black Ops has a bit more cachet than the rebooted version of Modern Warfare, and again it says Game Pass also benefited, setting a new record for the amount of new subscribers in a single day. Doesn't give me an actual figure on that at that point. Analysts predict that Black Ops 6 could boost Game Pass subscribers between 2.5 million and 4 million. So that's an additional amount of people. And I say take it with a pinch of salt from Satya Nadella, because he's just taken a fucking giant fucking bonus whilst loads of people have been booted from Microsoft because he's a twat. But anyway, yes, as you say, Lucy, it does seem that it is a big event. But I wonder, is that Black Ops rather than Modern Warfare?
I might just be from it. Call of Duty and the fact that we haven't had a lot of big gangbuster games this quarter.
Sure, yeah.
Sure. But yeah, I think maybe you're right. Maybe Black Ops does have a bigger cachet. But that's just on my very limited knowledge of it. Because I guess that's been the more consistent series over the years. Modern Warfare turned into Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare and stuff like that.
And then Modern Warfare again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Black Ops has remained, it's the 6th one, so it's remained a bit more consistent.
Right.
Even though I think I probably enjoyed the Modern Warfare kind of games more so than Black Ops. Well, I think I played Black Ops 3, and that was god awful. I can't imagine what the rest were, but probably all Call of Duties were god awful probably from that point.
I think that's where I checked out. I think Black Ops 3 is where I checked out, apart from then when COVID hit and everyone was playing Warzone, and I'm like, cool, it doesn't matter what version of Call of Duty this is now. There's Warzone, I'll play that with everybody, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there used to be, Treyarch were the, surpassed Infinity Ward in, this is cool,
right.
I think Black Ops games had zombies, whereas Modern Warfare didn't as well.
Yes, they did. They did differentiate in terms of their modes, and I know that they rotated between Infinity Ward doing Modern Warfare, Treyarch doing Black Ops, and then Sledgehammer doing a third game. So they did someone else did World at War. I don't know whether it was Sledgehammer necessarily, but someone else did World at War. And so they were looking at almost it being every your new game came out or that studio's game came out on a 3-year cycle. Makes sense, right? Yeah, sure. It takes that much time to put together sort of the next iteration of these kinds of games. But I don't think they do that anymore. I think it's been
no, it's
Modern
just
Warfare,
amalgamation.
Modern Warfare, Black Ops, and
I think all those teams are just in that one, just a mass of people, like the end of Inside, where it's just like a blob of people, and just I think
There's
that's
one
what it is.
person doing a bit
that
of
is cool.
multiplayer next to someone doing a little bit of single player, next to someone doing some character models. They're all in the same
That's
team, but there's
Activision.
the other people
Yeah.
on the other team doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's just a blob. It's just a hive mind now. Unfortunately, but we can pray that Tony
I mean,
Hawk
but like literally, they're
comes back,
they're
so.
working on the same game because it's the same executable, right?
Yeah.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all exactly in the same space. But it'd be you have
Black
to
QWOPs.
Black QWOPs. Yes. Nice.
Sorry.
Nice.
Really annoyed at that.
Lucy, you have to have a little bit of a dig over the next few days, like going into the client or whatever the Call of Duty launcher thing now is. Like, how far back can you actually go to sort of be like, I want to play the campaign from the Black Ops campaign from 1 all the way through to 6 now? Is that something I can do just through my Game Pass subscription?
I don't think they've added any of the previous games other than Modern Warfare 3, which came out last year.
Right.
And I think I saw another Modern Warfare 2, and there might have been another Black Ops game.
Like as
so
in
basically,
the modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I think the last 4 games, including Black Ops 6, I think those are in the client, plus
Right.
Warzone. I think you can install campaign or multiplayer from any of those 4 games. I think that's what I saw. But yeah, it'd be. I know. Was it last year that they updated? Well, I think it was soon after they closed the deal on the Activision sale. That they just updated all the old games, like tightened up the multiplayer.
Yeah.
And there was like a ton of people who just like swarmed to those old games, like as old as Black Ops 1, for example, and
Oh wow.
original Modern Warfare 2 and 3. So Microsoft obviously has that technology. The servers are still running. I think maybe one day there will just be like, oh, we'll just stick these on the launcher as well. Just like legacy titles, and you can choose whatever you want to play.
Yeah,
So
I
think
wonder
that's on the cards.
how, in a way that it feels like that's good for preservation, but also actually how it feels like they could strangle the market slightly. That really you have, your Call of Duty client. There is no Call of Duty game. And backwards compatibility is a thing on Xbox really well on Xbox, and you can go back to, as you have done, Lucy, older games and stuff like that. But what restrictions start to come in when they go, actually, this is not Black Ops 6 multiplayer. This is Call of Duty client multiplayer. And that updates every year as Call of Duty, as client-side Warzone updates. So it's not Black Ops 6 Warzone, it's just Call of Duty client Warzone. And actually, what we now introduce every year is just campaign for this game. Yeah. And then there is a big dump on the multiplayer of new maps and the new guns from that game and those kinds of things. But that's all tangled in with previous kinds of stuff. And stuff is balanced and it turns into, and ultimately is, just a live service element now.
Yeah.
I think that would work for most games, but I think they get so many sales just from like physical that they will still print that to the disc. So it's like they'll still keep that separate, I imagine, because for a game where it's like, oh yeah, online only, or
where does then the disc just installs the fucking launcher?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I don't know because a lot of those older games still have audiences and they linger for ages. Obviously, tons more people glom onto the new thing, but there's a reason those games don't go on sale. People are still buying those old ones. So, well, playing and buying those old ones, but I don't know. It's interesting what Call of Duty has morphed into. Just wish this didn't have that stupid head bob thing in it. I'll play Nuketown and see how we go.
Like, if memory serves me, I think this is what Activision were talking about like 5-6 years ago, in terms of having that central space for people to kind of go to, and then play their multiplayer or their single player or their they were talking about this kind of live service kind of element years and years and years ago, right? And saying this is where we feel Call of Duty can kind of go, and there was a little bit of kind of media pushback and content creator kind of pushback and that sort of stuff. You have like Jim Sterling, who would have done a video when they were Jim Sterling years ago, about kind of how Activision is sort of saying this sort of stuff. So I seem to remember that they've been talking about getting to what feels like this point for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
and it would be.
Admire it.
Yeah,
I admire it.
They've pushed through with that plan very much, but it would be very sad to then see, that element of Microsoft starting to limit, say, a backwards compatibility kind of thing, being like, no, your Black Ops 1 disc will not work anymore. Sorry.
Right.
That because of the way that we want Call of Duty to work as a platform or as a launcher, everything previous it's like the smoking ban, right? If you're 17 now, you can smoke next year, but if you're 16, you'll never smoke in your life. And suddenly they're like, Black Ops 6, that's it, that's the cutoff. If you buy Black Ops 6, you can play all of the previous games if you have the discs, but the next one, nah, mate, you're tied in for the live service.
I think there's an easy way around that, where it's like, okay, we're going to turn off these old servers, and then, but you can still play the new game.
Yep.
You'll always be able to play the campaign. We're never going to take that away from you. But understandably, most games on backwards compatibility, it's like, okay, the servers are still up, but nobody's playing, or the servers are just taken down. Yeah. So I think they would have an easy get out clause with that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think where again, the new game has a Nuketown map. Modern Warfare 3 redid and brought in not just maps from the multiplayer of the original Modern Warfare 3, but from previous Modern Warfare games as well. They're getting to that point where multiplayer is like, here is now this cyclical element that every week we have a bunch of new maps that you get to play from the last 20 years of Call of Duty, ultimately. So, yeah.
And there's good stuff to it, because it's like, previous, you'd have to buy the new maps, whereas now it's just buy the battle pass if you want, and all the skins. Whereas previously, you'd like, if I want to play this map with my friends, I'm gonna have to buy this DLC. Whereas everything's just, here you go, rolled out to everyone. So there are benefits to the structure as it is now.
It'd be interesting to see it from a how to phrase this, from like a basic buyer point of view. You've gone out and you've brought your Black Ops 6 PlayStation 5 disc, and you're spending no more money on this game. Like, you are playing the base game as it has come. How quickly, or the amount of people who have bought the Battle Pass, how quickly do the numbers dwindle in the range of games that you can kind of play? And is it only that pool of players that are playing on the same kind of games, or do players who have access to the Battle Pass and different maps and different things and all those kinds of elements, do they filter into those maps? So actually, base level is everyone, and then the next tier, Battle Pass level 1 or whatever, is they're all still in the base tier of stuff, but then they get the other ones filtered into them as well. Like, I don't know how that back end kind of works in that sort of sense, but it would be interesting to see someone, or their experience of the game, say, in early next year, January, February kind of time, who has only bought the base game, doesn't pay anything else for it, whether they're still getting a similar kind of experience and whether they're getting an enjoyable experience.
I think so. Because everything's just like mostly in that Battle Pass thing, and that's largely just skins and different guns. Different types of guns, different skins, and that's it. I don't think you need to engage with that at all, as I haven't, and I never will.
Yeah, so for you, as a Game Pass subscriber, only get access to the base game. There is then a battle pass you can purchase on top every month or something.
Yeah, just like every other game. Yeah, every other Call of Duty game. Yeah, it's basically the disc has been bought for you if you don't get Game Pass. If you want to buy more skins, that's up to you, man.
Interesting.
But that's like that with anything in Game Pass. It's like, oh, I get access to Vampire Survivors for free, the base game. Yeah. If I want to play that sweet-looking Castlevania DLC, I have to buy that, and I will.
Yeah,
because it's Castlevania.
It'll only be like £2.50
and I'm happy
or something. To be fair,
it's literally like £2.99.
Yeah.
So.
But I can't remember because Microsoft went through a rejig of what they offered, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I know they've withdrawn anyone being able to buy that kind of $1 Game Pass like month because of Call of Duty kind of coming out. But the different levels between whatever they used to call it, basic or gold, and now ultimate and that sort of stuff, whether you start to find that the Game Pass tiers, that Call of Duty is such a big seller, it's such a big fucking event that actually they want to flog a bunch of Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah, they want to flog a bunch of Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions, so include the Battle Pass in Game Pass Ultimate as well. That
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's the basic tier or whatever. Call of Duty might not be included or whatever, but yeah, Ultimate, you still have to buy the Battle Pass on top, as I would have to.
Yeah.
As I will not. Yeah. I don't need to play as Nicki Minaj.
What?
Yeah.
Shooting at Snoop Dogg and Groot running over a hill towards you, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they do a Def Jam pack. Def Jam Fight for New York pack. Then yes, I will buy. I will buy those skins.
Everyone squads up as Wu-Tang and just runs around, just fucking ruining people.
That's the thing. It won't be unique though. That's what I don't like about it. It's like everyone will just be Fat Joe, and it's like, what's the point? What's the point? Yeah.
It's where they have to just strip out all of the fucking P. Diddy skins that they were about to put in, isn't it now? Just like, fuck no, get rid. They're all of the rapper skins quickly. They're all the fucking skins, depending on.
Yeah, they're all probably culpable. So yeah.
Brilliant. What a lovely place to finish this week. Not to dwell on P. Diddy in any way whatsoever, let's move to beers and roll back around just for a bit of a finish on what we've drank. Lucy.
Before we do, just quick side note. I played Wilmot Works It Out, which was the follow-up to Wilmot's Warehouse. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finished it. It's just basically Wilmot doing puzzles, and it's very sweet. He found inner peace, and I think we all can. But yeah, it's just doing puzzles, moving blocks around in the same way, but
does it?
Something that isn't part of a capitalist evil regime.
As a quick kind of comment on it, because we both played the demo. A bunch of people will have also played that. Is it just more of the demo? Is there anything kind of more to it?
It's literally that. It doesn't expand on that at all. It's just he does some puzzles, and it's very nice and relaxing. And yeah, I finished it in a couple of settings. It was one of those where it's like, yeah, this is nice.
Fair. Good.
Wilmot found peace. I'm more happy that Wilmot found peace and happiness, and that's all I care about. Because I had an odd level of emotional involvement in that little square. So yeah, I'm glad he found peace.
Good.
It gives hope
to everyone else.
Someone finding peace somewhere at some point in time is confirmation it's possible.
I think Lucy, just knowing the struggles that Wilmot had gone through in the warehouse, in his distribution and warehouse,
it
kind of
cuts
role.
me. Yeah.
Good.
He's happy doing his puzzle, and I think he got a big severance from getting laid off because he's got like a massive house to put all these horses in.
Yes.
He's got like a 7-room bedroom house, and it's like, okay, all right, Wilmot.
I am
But
currently searching for Wilmot Works It Out right now. Perfect. I hadn't even realised it had released.
yeah, I think a week ago. But yeah, I mean, he probably worked for the company for like 70 years, so he's probably got a nice pension. I hate Wilmot. He's got a massive house and it's just him in it. And I bet he's a NIMBY.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's still getting his winter fuel allowance, probably. Lucy, how was the beer?
Oh no, you wrecked all the illusions of Wilmot being happy. Oh god. It's very good. Yeah, a bit too sweet, but it's good. It's a good stout. It's
Did the
yeah,
sweetness
it's got
dull down
chocolatey,
slightly?
nutty, roasty. Sorry?
Did the sweetness dull down at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. Why I'm, nursing it quite slowly because, definitely sates those sweet taste buds for a long time before you need a bit more. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Shame that it's small batch. Because this would be quite a decent hit. Yeah, Barney's. I know we've had them a few times before, but don't often see them. But this is very good.
Good. Brilliant. Aadil, the green UV green beer.
The green slime sour? Flour?
Toxic
green slime sour.
Something toxic slime.
Toxic juice.
Toxic juice.
Yeah, Twice Brewed's toxic juice. Yeah, this is the maybe third or fourth Twice Brewed sour I've had. They're doing a good job. I think we talked about this on a previous episode about they are definitely it felt like they were definitely trying to do the Vault City beer without beer thing, and so this having a bit of a beer taste helped a lot. Yeah, it's good, and like I said, so I will say that once I got used to the flavor, that little bit of beerness was very easy to miss. So pretty tasty, but definitely not something you would reach for if you wanted a beer.
Okay.
I want beer.
Yep. Yeah, so like by the end of it, I admit that thing that was giving me a reassurance had kind of faded away. And so I say the last quarter of the beer, it just tasted like, well, it was still good, right? So it's got a really good balance. So I think that's what the saving grace is. It's got a really good balance of that like punchiness of the tart passion fruit with a little bit of that mango and that like sweet sour orange, and rounded up by the raspberry, but I'm reading that just on the tin. The rest I very much felt, and it's just a really refreshing mix of flavors. And it's not too sweet, not too sour. I do have a lingering sour on the tongue, which is nice. The finish is sour, so but the thing is, it's like I had like I pounded back half a glass of raspberry juice that was like really good and tart. That's the kind of finish. It's not a beery finish.
Right. Okay.
So it's really refreshing. It has a nice finish, a long taste curve. Things I like in beverages. It's just not a lot of beer. So if that's what you're looking for, I wouldn't get that. But I do think it's worth trying if you like that type of thing.
It's like that elderflower non-alcoholic beer that I had, where it's like it's nice, but it didn't taste like a beer, but it's nice.
But yeah, if you were handed this as a refreshing beverage, you would have been like, this was a refreshing beverage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. I think for me, the beer that is probably the most beer, but isn't, because it's nice and soft and pillowy and lovely and just that little light kind of beer. This is probably one of the lightest double IPAs I've ever had, I think. in terms of just not hitting you in the face with flavour.
Mm.
That slightly jarring mix between the not even the front and the kind of back of the flavour, sort of, you know, it was actually the first 4/5 of the flavour, and then that jarring kind of element hit, and it was like, here's that dank finish. That did subside. That did go away, and it became a much smoother experience and a much smoother mouthfeel and flavour profile as I drank more of this beer. It kind of got better and better. I think because it just leveled itself out a little bit, as those flavors kind of, one started here and then one was here, and there's that sharp kind of kick up that actually they sort of, that one just came down and down and down and down, and that dankness disappeared that little bit as I kind of acclimatized to it, and it did turn slightly more piney towards the end of that sort of finish. It's just a jarring start, interestingly, to this beer. And I don't know whether it's the beer I'd had previously or what I've sort of, you know, other stuff that I've had kind of today. To be fair, I was drinking red wine earlier and stuff, so it might be that previous drinks have had a slight effect on the way that I've experienced this. Aadil, when you had it on draft, as you did a few days ago, how did you feel about it?
Very similar to yours.
Okay.
I think it sounds like it might have been a bit fuller on draft, maybe just the degree of carbonation. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid beer, I guess. I think I was expecting more, given all the other ones I've had just had a really like broad flavor profile, and it was less. I guess I was thinking, oh, it's a dipper, it's going to be like, but not quite.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
But really tasty. Again, one of those things where if you had handed it to me and just said, "This is an IPA,"
definitely,
I'd be like, "This is great."
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's nice to know that it is out on cask or on keg somewhere.
Yeah.
Around, because I think if I saw it, I would reach for it if I was in a pub and I saw it. So. Yeah, it's a nice beer. But as you say, considering the other beers that Weekend Project have done, it feels adjacent to those other beers rather than, you know, lots of pales and IPAs and things kind of here. It's not quite that jump up to a dipper as we would probably expect. And they may have you know, actually on purpose kind of been like, no, actually we can bring the dipper down to this level, and that is where we want all of our range of beers to kind of be. You know, very accessible, very easy.
Sometimes you want to be smacked around the chops.
Sometimes you do.
Dipper there.
Absolutely. Good. We'll end on some violence. If you, dear listener, would like to join us and talk about beers and games, you can do. Come to our Discord, hit any of us up, or go to outoflives.net to find a link to our Discord. You can watch the video version over at outoflives.net or on our Out of Lives YouTube channel if you're on the podcast. Rate and review us on your podcast service of choice, because it is incredibly helpful to get the word out. Or hit us up on Twitter at TankTopCast or Instagram at the same handle to tell us what you've been drinking, what you've been playing. I'm at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And Aadil is
At the Omniarch.
And that's it from us this week. We're incredibly tired. We're incredibly frustrated. Maybe it's time for bed. Thanks for joining us.
Goodbye. I gotta look at how much hard drives cost these
Oh, not now. Wait for the morning, Lucy.
Well, not now, yeah.
Not...
Probably in 6 weeks' time.
www.outoflives.net